Hey everyone, welcome to Worship Artistry. I'm Jason.
I'm Nick.
And I'll be honest, Nick, I'm a little nervous right now.
Why is that?
Guys, I don't know if you know this, but not only is this Nick Rice,
Yeah.
he's also Bob McClett on Instagram.
Nice. Good.
And he's a pretty big deal.
No.
Yeah, you are. You get recognized.
I do sometimes.
It's pretty cool.
Sometimes it is, yeah.
Would you consider yourself a celebrity?
Not at all. No. But I've had people take pictures of me in public. I remember one time at a Chick-fil-A, the most Christian place in all of Montana, because that's where I was, by the way.
Obviously.
We were in Montana. My wife and I were at a Chick-fil-A, and this lady came up to me, and she was being real weird. And she was like, hey. I was like, sup? You know, married. Like,
I'm saying, I'm like, did you just give me the finger?
No,
we're going to have to edit that out.
my ring finger. I'm like, hey, I'm married, you know. And she's like, hey, and she's like, can I take a picture with you? And I was like, no. She's like, well, oh, sorry. My husband would just be so upset if I didn't take a picture with you and show him that, like, I saw Nick Rice.
Woo!
And I was like, whoa, wow, okay. At the time, she was like, it's because of worship tutorials. And I was like, whatever. All right. And so my wife saw me like taking this picture of this lady because I was like waiting in line for food. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, gosh, people want a picture of me. Yeah, it's funny. I remember I had another time, there was this guy, he was like, I'm from Brazil and I just saw you at the grocery store. And I was like, what? Why are you here shopping for groceries, man? That's a pretty far trip. But yeah, no, it is interesting every once in a while to be, I'll say this. It is very fun to be noticed.
Yeah.
It's very fun to, oh my gosh, look, you, yeah.
Right, yeah. Somebody sees what I do.
Yeah, right. It is fun. And I can see how like actual celebrities, like it could be intoxicating, so to speak.
I always think of it as being really exhausting. Like,
sure,
I'm like,
yeah.
if I got hit by that like on the daily,
Yeah, that'd be wild, right?
I'd never leave my house.
Yeah, I think like Justin Bieber types. Like
Right.
he's just always, there's something flocking around him. They just can't go anywhere, it seems. And yeah, definitely exhausting. But I think at first there has to be an intoxication because people love it, it seems. When they have it, they're like, now it's gone. Well, crap, you know?
Right, yeah. And if they lose it, they don't feel like they'll ever get it back. Like it's such a rare thing that it's like, if I got it, I must be special. And now I have to do everything possible to hang on to it.
Yep.
That's how I feel as the worship artistry guitar teacher.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just, I get recognized all
Well, you
the time.
do, though. I mean, we were at Centricity's worship retreat, and the people were like, worship artistry.
That's right.
Hey.
Right.
Yeah. I used to watch that. What did he say?
It's like they're at the podcast or whatever. He's like, you guys were doing the podcast like really early. I'm like,
I learned a lot from you guys.
I was Timmy Tape.
Yeah, interesting.
My favorite one actually was when we were at Worship Innovators, which we're going to be there again this year.
October, right?
Yep. So come see us. But my wife and I went to the art museum, and I was walking up the stairs, and I saw this guy kind of do a double take as he walked past me. He kind of did one. And then he just like froze and was like staring at me. And I'm like, hey, you know, and he's like, wait. He goes, you're that guy. And I was like, maybe.
I am.
And he's like, you teach the guitar. And he looks at his wife. He goes, we paid this guy money. And I was like, cool. I was like, you here for the conference? Because that would make sense.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm here to see the Bears game.
Go Bears.
Awesome. It's funny because we were going up to this modern art wing, and he goes, there's some weird stuff up there. And then he just left.
You didn't get his name? Nothing?
No.
That's amazing.
It all happened so fast.
Just some weird stuff up there.
There was.
Appreciate your ministry.
To be fair, there was some weird stuff. I think he was like, I'm a Christian, and I was up there, but I didn't linger on this one, I promise.
Yeah, sure. He's just afraid of getting caught.
Yeah, busted.
Yeah, right. I guess that kind of segues into what we'll be talking about a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Celebrity Christians.
Yeah.
And them getting caught, right?
I like that better than Christian celebrity. Celebrity Christians.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, there's been some that have gotten in trouble, huh?
Yeah, it
recently.
seems like, it kind of seems like they're always getting in trouble.
It definitely does, yeah.
Like, it's just kind of like, you can almost set your watch by it. We're like, it's been about 6 months. We're about to hear about something crazy.
About to hear some celebrity, some Christian celebrity or whatever. But yeah, talking about what is a Christian celebrity? Like, can we even define that?
Right. One thing I always say when I see these like pastors fall or artists fall. I'm like, oh, it's so weird. You treat a pastor like a celebrity and they act like a celebrity.
Right.
It's so weird. But I think that word for me comes from like pop culture, like how I see, like when I think of celebrity, I think of like People magazine. Like I still think of tabloids.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, oh, I'm in the grocery line and I'm like, what's all this stuff?
Oh, what did they do to each other now?
I realize I'm so old that because I don't know who any of these people are anymore. They're like, did you see so-and-so? I'm like, I don't know who that is.
No.
Well, sorry about what's happening to you, blonde lady.
They'll never be Pierce Brosnan. Yeah. No, that's true because pop culture dictates so much of what we do. It dictates sound. It dictates what kind of things we wear, how we talk, skibbity. All of these things, and I don't understand most of it. And then in the Christian world, we have our own celebrities. Like I would consider, rather than using words to define what it is for me, I'll use people maybe. Okay. Like Brandon Lake, Phil Wickham, Stephen Furtick, people as such, right? Even like, what's her name? Christine Kane or whatever. I think she's from Hillsong or something like that. Long time ago, maybe. Brooke Ligertwood, however you say her name. These would be like celebrities to me, and people that have, I guess, done something major in the culture, the community, if you want to call it that. Is it a bad thing? Because I guess we're kind of posing it like it is. Yeah. Maybe that's just because that's kind of how I view it. But is it a bad thing, I guess, real quick? Being a Christian celebrity?
I think that there are different types of Christian celebrities, right? Because when I think of celebrity, I'm not just thinking of somebody who's known, right? Because there's a lot of people who are known in all kinds of circles, right? I would say somebody like N.T. Wright, who's like a theologian, he's a writer. People know that name.
It's a hard word for me sometimes. Theologian.
Yeah, he's been on the Colbert Report.
Oh, really?
So he's been around. He doesn't strike me as a celebrity, and I think it's the way he carries himself. I think it's the way he does put out content, but it doesn't feel like celebrity content. He's just kind of like reading from the Bible or something, and you're like, yeah, nothing really celebrity about that, but he's known.
Yeah.
He's done something in that community, right? So when I think about celebrity, I think more about celebrity type behavior. And so for me, that comes with money. It comes with the flashiness.
Yeah.
It comes with the needing to hold on to whatever it is you've got.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense.
Which is kind of an interesting thing, right? It's that fear of like, I'm going to lose this. And I think our culture goes, you've got it. You cannot let it go. And you just need to make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I feel like eventually it's like a balloon that bursts and it's like, oh, it turns out that was not sustainable.
Yeah, I even had an executive pastor that I was under years ago now say in a staff meeting that opportunities are like kind of like a straight line. It's not like a circle. If an opportunity happens, you need to grab that thing and just ride it until you can't anymore, because it's not like a circle where it's going to keep coming back around. And so even like that kind of thinking, they weren't talking about celebrities. They're talking about like, I guess probably salvation, or like a moment with your team. Like if you see you can intervene with something or whatever, right? Sure. I don't think they're talking about celebrity, but I do think that like that kind of thinking is detrimental to us and how we do then view how the things we do. Because what I heard him say was, you need to grab onto the opportunity and you hold on no matter the cost, because it doesn't happen again. If you've been given an opportunity, they're not like circles. They do not come back around. So what you just said with celebrity is like, we gotta hold on to this thing. We gotta maintain this ideal of this image or whatever it is, because I've gotten my opportunity.
Right.
It's not gonna happen again.
Right.
Okay, my question, it's not like, well, how do we hold on to it? Or like, how do we fix that? Or no, it's like, who cares though? Like,
say more.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Who cares about that thing? Because I've had so many opportunities in my life that if I would have said yes to that thing because it was an opportunity that I thought was good for me, I'd be so far down the wrong path. Maybe it was God stepping in, right, and saying like, "No, I'm going to shield you from that right now," or whatever. I don't know. I can't look back right now and see like, "Yep, that was a clear path to this and this and that and this." No, it's just I've seen so many opportunities come and go in my life, and what I still know is that opportunities happen. That guy was effectively suggesting if you don't remember anything and you just remember the words they're using, not the context of it or the content, it's like, yeah, my life has come and gone because these opportunities have passed me by. I'm not going to ever get another one. I think that's a load of crap. I'm sorry out there. Like,
whoa!
I'm so
Watch
sorry.
your
I
language.
know.
It's a family show.
I know this isn't made for kids, but it is family friendly. It's a load of junk to me. It really is, because I've had so many opportunities come back around to me because it wasn't my time yet. It was like God was waiting for something, and I needed to wait too.
Yeah.
So it's strange to me that we're even like within staff meetings, we're kind of creating this celebrity culture, in my opinion, in lines with how you're kind of describing it. Because, I do see that. It's like, we got to hold on to this thing. So I need to make the dumbest little video of my new song of me dancing on a hotel bed or me.
I'd love to see that from you.
Oh, my gosh. It'd be so great, wouldn't it?
Well, I often wonder, there's an idea around, I think, within the Christian community. It's not just the Christian community. It's everything.
Sure.
But I hear it in like church growth and that sort of thing, right? This idea that it's like, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yep.
Right. And I understand Jesus told us to go make disciples, and I think that we sometimes use that to just like, how big and how fast can we grow?
Right. Yeah.
I saw a video a while back, and the guy's like, listen, it's not about numbers, but that's just what the small churches say. Like it was a joke.
Yeah. That's been,
But it's this idea of like, what is actually good? Like, what is healthy growth? Just getting bigger and bigger and bigger isn't always better.
No.
And I think about it, I've thought about this even like generationally with my kids, right? There's kind of this saying in finance where it's like, the first generation earns it, the second generation protects it, the third generation blows it.
Wow.
And I've thought about like how there's this idea around like, no, you want to give your kids more than what you had or whatever. But you know what? I had it really good. I learned to work hard. I never needed for anything. I was never like in need. And so it's like with my own kids, I'm not trying to be like, now I'm trying to take all any struggle off your plate. I actually think the thing is to kind of keep that cycle going of just like, learn how to work hard, learn how to earn it, value the things that you have, and do good things with it. And I think that it's like sometimes we get in these cycles that just, I think celebrity is kind of the same way. We're like, I just got to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like, maybe it's not healthy for you to get bigger.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe at some point that becomes more about you and less about the gospel.
It is a strange thing that we do allow ourselves to become this famous thing when we do also say in the same sentence, a lot of us make Jesus famous.
Right.
Do you think it's just like the right thing to say? And so people are like, yeah, absolutely. I like them. I can get on board with what they're saying because I love what they're saying. And they're just saying the right things and going through the motions, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we're humans, right?
What?
And we respond really well to that seal of approval, that round of applause, right? We like that. There's nothing wrong with liking that.
No.
Right?
No.
But I do think it's interesting in the Christian world, like if the church is about Jesus, right? And I'm saying capital C.
Sure. Yep.
Church,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
If the church is about Jesus, if he's the head, if he's the cornerstone, like it is kind of weird how the way that we go about it in our current culture is by raising up different charismatic people. I don't mean charismatic like spiritually, I mean charismatic personality.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh man, like people really like you. They flock to you.
They're very approachable.
Right.
Yeah.
Or for whatever reason. And it does make me just wonder, like, when what was the story of like, hey, who's going to sit on your left hand and who's going to sit on your right hand, Jesus? And it's like Jesus was always about like whoever's last will be first. And we're like, whoever's last will be first, but I'm going to be first, but like keep raising me up, And once again, I don't think it's a conscious thing. I don't think people are running around going like, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to go get church famous.
Sure.
But I do think the results kind of speak for themselves.
I think some people probably do that though. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Like there's gotta be, like, I know so many different, I can name some names and I don't like to do that, but like there's so many worship leaders who tried to be the it thing and now they aren't, and now they've started some other venture and you can make 10x this too per month, you know what I mean?
Like, wait a minute, you're not even a Christian anymore.
No, they're just selling crap, and I got a question, like, were you just selling us crap then from the stage?
Right.
And wrapping it in God?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. Like, I don't, once again, we're kind of joking, kind of using examples,
Correct.
Right? Kind of joking around.
It's
we're being lighthearted.
We don't know, and it's not like we're like, this is this.
Right.
No, it's like, man, why is this stuff happening?
Right. We're humbly asking, right? Just kind of observing and going, what is this?
And that's what
spoiler alert, I don't have the answers. I don't know everything. There's been a lot of things coming out about musicians lately.
Yep.
My friend Andrew Osenga just wrote this. Subscribe to his email Substack, by the way. He's wonderful.
Andy Osang.
And yeah, that's right. Andy Osang.
Sup, bro?
Andrew Osenga.
Yep.
But he's just talking about how he was like, the Christian music industry, he got signed to a record deal at age 17.
That's crazy.
Think about yourself as a 17-year-old.
I was an idiot.
Right? But, one of the things he talked about was just how it's like you're changing so much during that time. And, he was using an example of he wrote this song and then, he changed his thoughts about that song after time. It was like, this is what I felt like when I was 17. And everyone was like, yeah. And then, he turns 18 or 19 and he's touring with that song and he doesn't necessarily believe those words in the same way he did before. But now he's not allowed to change it. Because that's what everybody is counting on. That's what his band's counting on. That's what his finances are counting on. That's what his fans are counting on, right? And so he has to create a double life a little bit and be like, I can't let people into this part of me. They can only be a part of this thing. And I don't even know if I still believe that anymore.
Right, yeah.
And I think that's like a really hard place to put your faith. It's one thing when it's like, hey, dude, I like this in your monitor. No, now I like this one, right? Like,
sure.
Yeah, my mind changes about products all the time. But when you're talking about your core beliefs and your values, which you don't have figured out at age 17.
No, you don't. Okay, I don't believe those words I'm saying anymore, so I can't sing those words. Or I don't want to sing that song anymore because I don't believe them, but I have to because that's my number one song or whatever. It creates this like, all right, I've learned to compartmentalize and I've gotten very good at it. And compartmentalizing in and of itself is not a bad thing. But like when it becomes like about your faith, I think then it becomes it can become detrimental.
That is probably one of the most detrimental things I see in people. I think when you learn to, like you said, there's not, like sometimes you have to compartmentalize things. Sometimes I put work over here and I put family over here.
Correct.
That's how that works, right? But far too often I've seen compartmentalization means I can hide this thing over here and I can live this other life over here. When you start compartmentalizing things in that way, it does mean that you're usually hiding something, right? And it does mean that there's no like release valves for when you're having questions or you're struggling, I remember going to my pastor and sitting down with him and saying, I don't think I believe in God anymore. You can imagine, I'm a worship pastor. I'm running Worship Artistry. I did a podcast about this way back when. So if you want to hear that story, go back to it. But I was trying to be honest.
Yeah.
But my livelihood was connected to it. But I was like, well, I'm not going to be the kind of person that can just make stuff up on camera and then go be something else.
Right.
Because I'm not very good at compartmentalizing. I don't really want to be good at it, right?
Yeah.
So therefore I was able to merge those parts of my life and go, I am dealing with this faith struggle and also my job and my work and all that is tangled. It's not its own thing. One can't go on without the other. And because I wasn't compartmentalizing and I had relationship, my pastor looked at me and was like, how old are you? I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. And walked with me through it. He didn't shun me. He didn't go, well, Jason, you can't lead worship until you've figured out what you're doing. He didn't say, well, you need to give up this thing, or we're all going to gather around you and we're going to hold a Bible study until you believe what we want you to believe.
When a lot of churches would say you can't do this until you kind of figure that out.
Right.
Why do you think he didn't do that?
I think because that's a great question.
And did he walk you through like certain steps, or like, I mean, I'm sure you guys met.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
more.
he met me with a lot of grace is what he did.
Sure.
He talked to me for a while, and he was like, well, tell me what you're thinking. Why are you thinking this? And there's a number of reasons. And he's like, it sounds like you're really tired. And one of the things he always talks about is he's like, you get to a certain age where all the things that you used to believe and the things that worked for you, they don't work anymore. And that's what we call a midlife crisis, is when like, hey, this used to protect me. I used to think this way, and then that protected me. And it's like, and then one day you go, I don't think that's right. And then you don't know what to do, right? And I think God walks alongside us in all of that. I think he trusts God to do that. I think he knows my heart. And I think he wasn't going to, expose me necessarily. But he was also like, be honest, like lead what you can.
When you were going through this with him, was there a time right before you said this to him, like, hey, I don't know if I believe in God anymore, that you were like afraid to tell him?
No, I was like, I was thinking about this for like 2 years.
Wow.
I had been kind of like in my own head about it. I hadn't talked to anybody.
Sure.
And then I talked to my wife. She was like, what?
What?
And she was also
like, it was out of left field for her.
Yeah. Because I hadn't talked to her at all about it. And, she, same thing, handled it with grace. And it was just like, she's like, I don't have doubts like that. So I don't, I have these other things, we walk through different things. So she handled it with grace.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I knew that I needed to go talk to him, because I knew that he wouldn't reject me. I knew that he has more wisdom after being in ministry for much longer than me. And I knew that like he would share that with me.
How did you know he wouldn't reject you?
Because I just knew him for a long time. I'd worked with him for a long time.
What's a long time? Like 5 years? Like
by that point, well, let's see. It's been about 15 years.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So we had been at 2 different churches together.
Yeah, makes sense.
He'd married my wife and I, so.
Because I've been in it.
He knows me well.
Yeah, right. The reason why I asked.
We fight sometimes. It's great.
Well, that's good, actually, I think. The reason why I asked is because I've been in a few church situations where the staff would be like, hey, if you're having any doubts ever, if you, anything, if you're thinking about going to another church, you're thinking about, I don't love God anymore, whatever, anything, come talk to us. It's fine. It's a safe space. And I remember one of my friends did that. And do you know what happened? He wasn't there for the next.
Safe.
He wasn't there for the next staff meeting.
Yeah,
he got fired. It was weird, right? That's weird. So it's like that's good to know that you had that with like 15 years, because I was only there for like maybe a year and a half, 2 years or something. But like the way I work is if you said something to me like, hey, trust me. Okay, yeah, you've given me no reason not to, so I will. And then, but it's just manipulation, so that way you can like effectively what I think they were doing is like trying to protect the culture there. So that way you wouldn't go talk to anybody about like, hey, I'm thinking about leaving, so should you.
Right.
And like, but it's weird to then wrap it up in like, come talk to us. We love your problems,
Right.
We're here for you. We want to work through this. We're a team. We're a family, all this dumb things that they don't mean. Why say those things if you don't mean them, for one? Again, it just comes right back to like, these are the proper things to say.
Right.
So now they like me. And guess what? That's called manipulation. But like, yeah, that's very cool that you had that, because again, my friend, I think he's in a church now, but he struggled for a very long time to get back into one. Because
how do you trust?
Yeah. How do you trust these people that are saying, trust me fully, and I'm not going to pay you much? Cool. And I got my family, and I got to trust you, and there's not much money coming in. Talk about stress.
I've thought a lot about how we live so much of our life on social media, right? And we see these things. And it's funny because I see Christian celebrity and I see these kind of big names and everything. And then I always see people complaining about those things. That's the two things that I see mainly.
Yeah.
It's either people like, this is the greatest thing in the world, or like, this is wrong. And I think the issue is social media.
Sure.
Like, it's like the algorithm rewards different things, right?
Yeah.
It rewards people who are mad and it rewards people who are flashy.
Correct.
And the thing is, I've thought about like, man, you know, I just want to reward, like, I just want to showcase just Christians who are doing good things. Not necessarily like celebrity. They're too busy doing the thing to like put it on social media and talk about it. They're just living out normal lives every day trying to follow Jesus. And I was telling somebody about this. I was like, yeah, I think I just want to start doing this. He's like, well, nobody's going to look at it. I was like, yeah, I know. But like maybe somebody will be encouraged and maybe that's enough. You know?
That's
I mean,
the snowball effect, right?
Yeah. Or not, you know, but like, you know, I had a friend of mine who was like, yeah, you know, we hear all these podcasts about this church fall and this celebrity fall. We rarely ever hear about like, man, this church community is doing things really well.
Right. Yeah.
Look at how they're supporting the people in their community. Look at how they're reaching out. Like we don't talk about that because it's usually small.
Yeah.
You know, unless we can be like, look, we handed out 5,000 turkeys to the people of our town, and like, and the 3-camera crew is there, and somebody's crying, and it's like, donate more. You know, like, yeah, that stuff's out there, but there's also people just kind of living every day, and I don't think Jesus looks at that and goes, man, you're really blowing it the way you're like helping those people with physical therapy, like. You didn't even make a reel of that.
You didn't film it.
Yeah. What the heck?
Yeah.
One thing I do want to be really clear. I'm not standing on the sidelines hoping somebody's going to bite it.
Bite it?
Like they're going to fall.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
yeah. Not
you know
at
what
all.
I mean? Like I am, can't say I'm cheering people on because I'm really not paying attention, but
I don't want anyone to fall, to fail.
Right. Like, yeah, it's not like, man, I really hope, you know, sometimes I feel like there's that like, yeah, serves you right.
Sure.
It saddens me every time this happens. Like, it's sad. It's like a sad state of affairs. It's sad for usually who's hurt by it. It's sad for the church. It's all these things. And like, I say, we just keep kind of doing it. And like, I just want to stop doing it.
Right. Yeah.
I want to stop.
Why is this still happening?
Right.
Why? It's so crazy. But yeah, absolutely. We're not on the sidelines trying to, oh yeah, let's throw a stick out there in their spokes and let them flip over their handlebars. No, not at all. We want everyone to win. We want everybody to have a great time. Yeah, but there's a good question. Why does it keep happening?
Yep.
When everyone after the fact says the same things, like, this is horrible. This is horrible. This is bad. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And then it happens again. We're like,
but look over there.
Yeah, let's say the right things, and let us know in the comments what you're thinking. Are we way out of touch? Are we way out of base? Let us know. We want to have a great conversation with you in the comments. Have a great conversation with other people. Maybe the way you're thinking lines up with us. Maybe it doesn't at all. Maybe you just think we're nuts, and that's fine too. But we want to know your thoughts, please, and thank you. But thanks for watching this video. Subscribe as always. You know, check out our 21-day free trial that we have for worshipartistry.com. You can be your best with us. Promise. See ya.